Okay. So that AP wanted to show is in the test module because it's a project, but it will also help you review for the first test, which is on units 1 and 2. You can see the title slide says Beginning Modern Europe, and you would just replace the instructions. Well, first of all, make sure you make a copy for yourself, and then you would replace those instructions with, of course, your first and last name. Then the next slide says pre-Renaissance, and you would just replace the instructions with 5 significant points about pre-Renaissance. Do not use complete sentences here. Use fragmented sentences like a newspaper headline. So one of them might be bubonic plague kills 1/3 Europe. That would be an example. And then underneath in the notes view, if you look down underneath the slides, you can see it says click to add to presentation. Those are the notes down below. And you would just type 1 to 2 sentences that explains what your bulleted point is. So if you have bubonic plague kills 1/3 Europe, then you down below would put a sentence or two that explains that a little bit better. And so you take 5 points about the pre-Renaissance period. And then over here in the right pane, you would just find a Renaissance picture or a pre-Renaissance picture that you would put in the place of the right pane. And then you can see the next slide is on the Renaissance, the Reformation, and the 30 Years' War. So when you're done, you should have five little headlines on each slide and a picture, and then down below in the notes view, just 5 sentences that you can use from the book or the notes or wherever you want to, just as long as it's in your own words. And this will help you review for the test, and it will also count as a project grade as well, which is worth a little bit more than the rest of the assignments. Does anybody have any questions about this? All right. Well, go ahead and use the time wisely to get started on that. About halfway through, I'll go over a study guide that we'll use as well. You'll be able to select certain items that you can choose to answer or define. And when you click on the document inside, it should automatically make a copy for you. These are different terms, and of course we covered 4 chapters, 1 and 2 for Unit 1, and then 3 and 4 for Chapter 2. All that I want you to do is pick 25 of these terms and just make a definition or description in your own words, no more than 1 to 3 sentences. And to best prepare for the test, I would recommend picking ones that you're not familiar with. So if you already know who Elizabeth I is, there's no point on that being one of the terms you pick for your study guide. So I would pick ones that you are unfamiliar with to help you better prepare. Now, the test itself, which will be on Thursday, all the multiple choice questions involve an excerpt or a political cartoon or a map or some other type of evidence, and then you answer the question based on that. So it's not going to be some kind of memorization test where you need to memorize all these, but obviously knowing about these terms will mean that when you're reading the questions, you don't have to stop and think too much about what each of them is. So either of these things, if you want to finish up the slideshow if you haven't already, or if you'd like to work on the study guide, that's entirely up to you for the remainder of the class. Both of these won't be due until Friday, but I would recommend, of course, completing them before we take the test on Thursday. Does anybody have any questions? All right. So go ahead.